At 5:15 hours local time, on Ukraine's increasingly fragmented front lines, small groups of Russian soldiers can find themselves isolated for hours or days, cut off from reliable resupply, and exposed to Ukrainian surveillance. In some recent operations, Ukrainian military units have reported using snipers and other reconnaissance elements to locate Russian troops hiding in buildings, tree lines, and ruined defensive positions before moving to capture or strike them. One such operation was reported by Ukraine's 67th Separate Mechanized Brigade this month. According to the brigade, 3 Ukrainian snipers entered an area where Russian soldiers were believed to be concealed and searched buildings one by one. The Ukrainian unit said the soldiers discovered 4 Russian troops after a commander detected the smell of tobacco inside a building. The Russian soldiers subsequently surrendered and were taken prisoner. The episode illustrates a broader reality of the war. Despite the prominence of artillery, missiles, and drones, highly trained small units remain important on a battlefield where concealment can determine whether soldiers survive or become trapped. But battlefield reputation does not eliminate the dangers created by fragmented front lines. In June, Ukrainian military intelligence said one of its special units had engaged Russian airborne reconnaissance troops in the Zaporizhia region. Ukrainian authorities described the Russian personnel as elite paratroopers and said they had entered the area during a nighttime operation before coming under attack. Those claims were presented by Ukrainian authorities and could not independently establish the full circumstances of the engagement. The reported operation reflected a recurring pattern in the war. Russian units attempting to move forward or establish positions can be exposed by Ukrainian reconnaissance before their supporting forces arrive. That danger is magnified when troops move through terrain dominated by drones, thermal imaging, and persistent surveillance. Moreover, modern snipers rarely operate in isolation from the wider intelligence network. A concealed marksman may depend on drone operators, reconnaissance teams, communications specialists, and other personnel to identify potential targets. The sniper can then become one component of a larger system designed to observe, isolate, and control an area. Ukraine's elite forces have increasingly integrated drones and other technologies into their operations. A 2023 Washington Post report, for example, documented how Ukrainian special forces used drone imagery and other technological tools to identify targets and conduct operations behind Russian lines. A soldier entering a building may not know whether it has been observed. A vehicle moving between positions may be detected from the air. A radio transmission can potentially reveal the presence of a unit. Even apparently ordinary activity can expose a position. For isolated Russian soldiers, the consequence can be a rapidly narrowing set of options. Remain concealed, attempt to withdraw, wait for reinforcements, or surrender. Trapped troops become a command problem. Isolation is not simply a tactical problem for the soldiers caught inside a threatened position. It also creates difficult choices for commanders. A force attempting to rescue an isolated unit may itself become exposed. Moving additional troops toward a surrounded position can create another target for Ukrainian surveillance and precision weapons. The problem has appeared repeatedly during the war. In 2025, Ukrainian forces reported operations against isolated Russian positions around the Pokrovsk area after Russian troops advanced into exposed positions. Accounts from the battlefield described Russian forces attempting to reinforce or rescue units that had become vulnerable after rapid advances. The underlying military dilemma, however, is straightforward. An advance can create opportunities, but moving too far without secure supply routes and supporting forces can turn a breakthrough into an exposed salient. Drones make every movement more dangerous. The importance of snipers cannot be separated from the wider drone war. Small unmanned aircraft have transformed the way troops move and hide. Russian and Ukrainian forces routinely use drones for reconnaissance, artillery correction, and direct attacks. The combination of aerial surveillance and precision strikes has made traditional battlefield movement considerably more hazardous. A June 2026 report by CBS News cited Russian military bloggers as claiming that soldiers in some frontline areas could survive for only a matter of minutes after reaching exposed positions. CBS stressed that it could not independently verify the specific estimate, but said similar accounts were appearing on Russian military channels. That environment helps explain why small unit tactics have become so important. A sniper team does not necessarily need to engage every enemy soldier it discovers. Identifying a position can allow commanders to bring other capabilities into the fight or simply prevent the opposing force from moving safely. For Ukrainian commanders, therefore, an isolated enemy group can represent more than a tactical target. It can also become a source of information about Russian positions, unit composition, and battlefield conditions. For soldiers trapped inside a building or defensive position, surrender may ultimately become the only viable alternative to continued fighting. The front is increasingly defined by small groups. The modern battlefield in Ukraine often bears little resemblance to the massed formations associated with earlier 20th century wars. Large offensives still occur, but many frontline engagements are conducted by relatively small groups moving through villages, forests, trenches, and damaged urban areas. The danger is particularly acute when units become separated from their formations. A group that moves several hundred meters beyond supporting positions can become effectively isolated. Roads may be watched by drones. Open fields may be covered by artillery. Tree lines can conceal soldiers but also restrict their movement. Buildings can provide protection while simultaneously becoming traps if surrounding forces establish control of the approaches. This is why the ability to locate an enemy can be nearly as important as the ability to destroy one. Russia continues to push despite mounting battlefield pressure. The reported incidents involving isolated Russian soldiers come as Moscow continues offensive operations along several sectors of the front. Russian authorities said in August that their forces had captured 19 settlements during their summer campaign in southeastern Ukraine. Reuters noted that the specific settlements were not disclosed and that the claims had not been independently verified. Ukrainian authorities, meanwhile, have reported their own territorial gains in the southeast. The competing claims underscore the difficulty of assessing battlefield developments in real time. Both sides have powerful incentives to emphasize successes and minimize failures. Videos released by military units can provide valuable evidence, but they often show only part of an operation and may lack enough context to establish exactly what happened. That makes independent verification especially important when reports describe the destruction or capture of supposedly elite formations, a war where reputation offers little protection. For Russia's airborne and special purpose troops, elite status can provide better training, equipment, and experience than ordinary formations. It does not make soldiers invisible. The Ukrainian operations reported this year demonstrate the extent to which reconnaissance, drones, and small unit tactics can undermine even experienced troops when they become isolated. The 67th Brigade's reported capture of 4 Russian soldiers is a particularly revealing example because it involved no massive armored clash. Instead, the encounter reportedly began with something as mundane as the smell of cigarette smoke. That detail captures the strange character of the war's front line. Advanced technology may dominate military headlines, but soldiers still rely on basic human senses, patience, and discipline. A careless movement, a visible position, or an unexpected sound can expose a group that believed itself safely concealed. And once an isolated unit is discovered, the balance can change quickly.
Охуеть надо.